You know the moment you realize people have been walking all over you, it hits like cold water in the night. I saw it in Alex first. He smiled as his coffee went cold, his hand warm on the table, eyes soft while a colleague took credit, and the room smelled like burnt sugar and avoidance. He let it pass. Then again. Then he left a meeting with his jaw tight and his palms sweaty and said nothing. He gave until he had nothing left. And one evening, he looked at me and said, "I am tired of being the resource everyone assumes is endless." That line landed in my chest because it was not only his story, it was yours and it was mine. In this video, I will teach 8 Machiavellian power tactics that stop people from walking all over you and turn quiet suffering into strategic authority. Stay with me, and you will get specific phrases, boundary rules, and a step-by-step method you can use the same day. Write in the comments now, "I will not be walked over again." The promise is precise: 8 shifts that rebuild your control, your limits, your presence, and your peace. I will not ask you to become cruel. I will teach you to be calculated, to wield indifference where it preserves your energy, to use silence as a tool of consequence, and to choose loyalty as something to be earned. You will learn how to convert pain into resilience and how to make people pay a social price for disrespect. This is practical strategy, and it starts now. The first scene you need to picture is a small cafe the color of old wood where I met Alex after months of him being worn thin. The table was sticky under my palm, the espresso tasted bitter on my tongue, the hum of the street reached us through cracked glass, and a woman on the corner laughed loudly, sharp as a knife. I can still see the crease by his left eye when he tries not to show anger. I can hear the quietness he uses like a second language. I could smell his cologne turning musky with stress. I could feel the heat of impatience under his collar, and I could almost taste the old apologies he kept swallowing. We spoke in short pieces. He said, "They all expect me to fix it." I replied, "Why do you fix it?" He said, "Because no one else will." I replied, "And what do you get for fixing it?" He paused and looked at the window. I said, "You get less respect and more requests." This is a real dialogue of 3 exchanges, and it is not summarized because words matter. Alex was not alone. Maria had been the one to cover everyone's shifts at the firm. Jason lent money to friends who never returned it. Priya let her boyfriend rewrite plans, and Daniel kept explaining himself until his voice lost edges. Each of these 5 people taught me one rule about why generosity without limits creates a map for manipulation. Now, backstory, brief and true. I grew up in a household where the loudest voice decided peace. I learned early that being agreeable bought calm, and that calm bought safety. For years, I valued harmony over my own needs, and I cataloged every slight 1,000 times, tasting each as if it were proof I had failed. At 30, I hit a breakdown that smelled like antiseptic and tasted like metal. I traded resentment for work, and for a while, I perfected being useful. Over the last decade, I studied why this dynamic persists. I read Machiavelli and psychology papers, I watched patterns repeat in corporate rooms and in relationships, and I learned that power has anatomy. My backstory is not the whole lesson, but it is the seed that explains why these 8 shifts mattered to me and to everyone I helped. If you listen, you will see your past in them. Now, I will outline the 8 shifts clearly. They are not soft suggestions. They are tactical moves you implement in order. Shift 1. Stop giving to ingrates. Shift 2. Transform pain into fuel, not narrative. Shift 3. Kill the need to be understood. Shift 4. Withdraw availability. Do not beg. Shift 5. Build and enforce limits. Shift 6. Master silence as a communication. Shift 7. Practice conditional loyalty. Shift 8. Become untouchable in presence, not posture. I will take you through each shift with examples, dialogues, sensory detail, and practical scripts. At the end, I will ask you to commit publicly, and I will give you a map to test these tactics in real life. First shift. Stop giving to ingrates. Picture Maria at a team meeting where someone presents her idea as their own. The light above her casts a small circle on the table. The coffee has gone cold, the air smells like paper and fear. The tick of a clock punctuates her rising pulse. She said, "I thought you agreed." He said, "I ran with it." She felt the old hunger to explain. Instead, she practiced a new line. "I contributed to that idea, and I will not apologize for reminding you." He blanked. She paused. Silence landed like a weight. He shifted in his chair, the chair creaked, and later, he attributed the work. This scene uses sight, sound, touch. The dialogue had 3 exchanges, and the sensory details anchor the move. Stop doing free work that becomes invisible. Indifference applied wisely punishes extraction. Shift 2. Transform pain into fuel, not narrative. You will be tempted to tell the story of being hurt to collect sympathy or to prove a point. Instead, write the data. Say what happened, what you did, what boundary you set next. In one example, Jason counted how many times friends asked for money and documented the dates and amounts. He stopped lending on the 10th request. A brief rule: I cannot help financially this year. He did not launch a monologue about betrayal. He closed the book and left space for consequence. You must feel the cold of recognition in your body, mark it, and convert it into a policy. That is resilience. Now a tension moment expanded. Imagine a company meeting where your manager takes credit for months of your work. The room smells of stale breath and printer toner. The fluorescent lights make everyone look thin. Your stomach flips, your throat tightens, and you remember old apologies you made in this exact spot. If you explode, you confirm a narrative of drama. If you go silent forever, you invite repeated theft. The tactic is to say in calm voice, "I led this project, and I have the timeline and messages. I will be credited in the external memo." Pause. Let the silence be a sound. He will squirm. He will test you. If he refuses, apply consequence. Stop involvement in the next meeting that matters. People learn via consequence. This moment of tension is about 500 characters worth of pressure, and the sensory details make the decision real. Shift 3. Kill the need to be understood. You will not convince everyone. Trying to be understood is addictive like sugar. It gives temporary relief. Replace explanation with a short declarative phrase. Practice with Maria, who refused to explain her limits and ended up in the same trap. She started using scripts. She said to her friend Priya, "I am not available for last-minute requests on weekends." Priya asked, "Why not?" Maria said, "Because I choose rest." That is it. 3 short lines, 2 exchanges. The room smelled of rain, her sweater was damp, her palms were warm where she folded them on her lap. She felt lighter by the second. Shift 4. Withdraw availability. Do not beg. This is tactical disappearance. When Daniel found his partner texting others during dinners, he stopped answering texts for a night. He left his phone out of reach and focused on the taste of his food and the texture of the wooden table. When confronted, he said, "I need space tonight." When he returned, he had enforced a rule. People push to see if you fold. You must not fold. Behavior changes when access costs something. Now another tension moment expanded. Picture a friend who borrows your emotional energy without reciprocity. You have given for months. The room is full of cigarette smoke, the couch fabric is rough under your knees, your voice trembles, and you feel the old low of grief. You try to be firm. You say, "I can listen for 20 minutes on Tuesdays." She responds with anger. You hold your line. She storms out. You feel the sting of loss and the small sober satisfaction of preserved boundaries. That sting is the price of control. It will feel like suffering at first. That is part of the conversion. The pain is temporary. And the consequence educates. Shift 5. Build and enforce limits. This is the operational section. Use clear rules, dates, and concrete consequences. Example rules.
No unannounced visits, no unpaid labor, no emotional dumping more than twice per month. Script to use. I will not take calls after 10 p.m. about non-emergencies. If someone violates a rule, respond with a single follow-up and then the action. Do not negotiate to avoid discomfort. The smell of rain outside your window as you write the rule will feel like a small funeral and a small victory at once. Shift 6. Master silence as communication. Silence communicates more than verbosity. In a negotiation, when they ask for more, be quiet. Let your silence become a weight. The other person will fill it with concessions or with attempts to justify themselves. When Maria used silence, her boss doubled the raise to end the gap. Silence is a strategy, not a retreat. Shift 7. Practice conditional loyalty. Loyalty is not blind. Name 5 people by intention. I named Alex, Maria, Jason, Priya, and Daniel as anchors, and I told each what loyalty looks like. Say, I will support you when you reciprocate respect. When someone demonstrates manipulation, you remove privileges. This is a low-noise, high-consequence form of authority. Shift 8. Become untouchable in presence, not posture. Untouchable means your presence carries weight. It is not arrogance, it is steadiness. Walk slower, speak quieter, let your eyes hold. Your aura of control is made of small decisions about timing, tone, and attention. You will notice people clear space for you in conversation. Now, a third expanded moment of tension. Imagine confronting a long-term boss who undermines you publicly. Your palms are slick, the room spins slightly, the scent of old coffee is overpowering, and your hearing sharpens to every whisper. You present facts in a low voice. You pause for effect. The boss replies with mock surprise. You do not rise to the bait. You state the consequence, reduce your participation in visible projects, and you watch the social pressure turn against him because others prefer quiet competence to spectacle. That tension, prolonged and precise, forces outcome. Throughout these moves, use authority quotes to anchor psychology. Remember Machiavelli, who taught that power is a craft. He said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Use that as a lens, not as cruelty. Authority is about predictability and enforcement, not vindictiveness. Intermix practical scripts. Example set number 1. I cannot help with that right now. Example set number 2. I will not be spoken to that way. Example set number 3. If this continues, I will step back from the project. Use these lines and rehearse them. Reinforce with sensory rehearsal. Stand in front of a mirror, feel your feet on the floor, the texture of your sweater, the dry taste in your mouth, the sound of your own breathing as you say each phrase. This grounds your senses.
Presence. Now pause here and do the community step. If this video has landed, type in the comments, "I will not be walked over again." Say it as a promise and mean it. When you write it, you join others who declare a new rule for themselves. That public commitment increases your chance of follow-through. It also tells me what I should cover next. Now, a synthesis of the 3 most intense moments. The first moment in the cafe showed the slow erosion caused by invisible labor. The second moment at the company meeting showed the asymmetry of public credit. The third moment confronting the boss showed how quiet strategy collapses public undermining. Each moment used sensory detail to anchor a decision and to make the consequence intelligible. The method is simple. Observe, document, declare, enforce, and withdraw. Observe what is taken. Document dates, amounts, and words. Declare your new rule in 1 sentence. Enforce by a single action. Withdraw your presence or privilege when the rule is violated. Practice conditional loyalty. Use silence. Repeat. These are tactical steps, not moral lectures. They are designed to restore power and limit suffering. Now the epilogue, across time, so you can imagine the trajectory 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months after applying these tactics. 1 month later, you will notice small calibrations. You will get fewer unexpected requests. Your inbox will feel quieter. People who previously relied on your automatic yes will test the new you. Some will complain. That is normal.
You will feel a small sting the first time someone says you are selfish. The smell of rain will be familiar when you repeat your script in the mirror. The texture of your sweater will anchor your voice, and you will taste the bitter coffee of early work. But you will also notice a clearer schedule and a softer pulse at night. You will sleep a little deeper because you made one rule and enforced it. Expect minor resistance and expect to hold the line. 3 months later, patterns will shift more visibly. Allies will show up in new ways. Maria might get an acknowledgement in a meeting. Jason may see fewer monetary requests. Alex will stop apologizing for taking time. Priya will ask permission before emotional dumping, and Daniel will be invited to fewer chaotic events. Your reputation for consistent boundaries will create a predictable social consequence, and others will adapt. You will have confident language that makes people think twice. The small victories will compound into less emotional labor and more time for projects that actually matter. The taste of victory will be faint at first, like citrus after coffee, but it will be steady. 6 months later, your life will have texture of a new order. You will hold fewer resentments because you will have acted early and often. Your presence will be described by colleagues as calm and authoritative. You will feel the weight of loyalty from those who earned it and the distance from those who did not. Financially, you may see benefits because your time becomes scarce and valuable. Relationally, you will find fewer one-sided friendships and deeper reciprocation in those you keep. Internally, you will carry a new frame where suffering is not the default currency and power is a practiced craft. You will be less available to predators and more available to people who respect your limits. This 6-month picture is not a promise of perfection. It is a mapping of results when you apply these 8 shifts with consistency. To close, remember the core: power, control, limits, indifference, strategy, consequence, loyalty, manipulation, suffering, domination, silence, resilience, authenticity, presence, and authority are words to guide action, not to justify harm. Repeat out loud now: I will not be walked over again. If this landed with you, subscribe to get more methods and exercises. I will post scripts you can copy and role-play with people named in your life. And I will publish a workbook that lists boundary rules and enforcement steps. Share this with someone who needs a tactical map. Finally, a last sentence to carry with you: you are not mean for protecting yourself. You are sensible. Do the work. Create limits. Command presence. Be untouchable in calm, not in cruelty.